If you're thinking about installing solar, or you're considering buying a home that already has solar, there are a few things you should know before making a decision. Solar continues to grow in popularity across Colorado, but there are still a lot of questions about how it impacts a home's value, what buyers should look for, and what homeowners need to know before making the investment. To help answer those questions, I sat down with solar expert and good friend of mine, Kate Collardson, who has spent nearly 20 years inspecting, evaluating, troubleshooting, and repairing solar systems throughout Colorado. One of the biggest questions I hear from homeowners is whether solar actually adds value to a property. Beyond the potential energy savings, many people want to know whether solar will help when it's time to sell and how buyers view homes that already have solar systems installed.
Yeah, it's a good question. I think that solar has a lot of benefit. It definitely helps reduce a homeowner's bill. It does not always pay back, as far as sometimes folks will have a system that produces more than they use in a certain time of year, and they'll get a credit. You're not, depending on the size of the system and the consumption of the people in the home, you might or might not get a credit. It might just offset a little bit of your bill. It will reduce your bill with the utility company.
Not all solar systems are created equal. The way a system is structured can have significant impact on how it's viewed during a real estate transaction and what buyers should consider before moving forward.
So there are a lot of different lease products out there. And over the years, the industry has offered different ways of structuring leases. So basically a bank or a third party owns the system, and you pay them and have the solar on your home. And there are contracts involved, and sometimes leases are a good deal, and sometimes, frankly, they're not. And it's worth looking into the lease and digging down into what the structure is to figure out if it's worth it to get into that lease. A lot of times what I'm seeing is folks will qualify for a home, and then there's solar on it, and they find out that there's a lease on that solar. And when you add in that lease, well, that changes the debt to income ratio, and suddenly they don't qualify like they did for just the home. And so sometimes the seller will buy out the lease, and that tends to work out well, but it really depends on the structure of the lease. You got to look into the fine print and figure out what's been agreed to, and what does that mean.
If you're purchasing a home with solar already installed, it's important to understand exactly what you're getting. The age of the system, its performance history, ownership structure, warranties, and overall condition can all impact the experience as the new homeowner.
Frankly, there has been misinformation in the industry. There are ads out there from subpar companies that say you can install solar for $0, and it's not reading the fine print. It's not really understanding what they're getting themselves into and what that means going forward when they do want to sell the home. Because the way that the home buyer market works is people move every few years generally. It's important when you're installing solar to understand what it's going to mean for the buyer of your home. The other thing that I see often is that people will put it on and then kind of forget about it. And it's important to watch it or have somebody who is watching it for you. And sometimes things go bad, things break. It's kind of like, getting a tune up on your car. You have a vehicle, and every once in a while you got to do some maintenance on it. And solar's kind of the same way. It's not a set it and forget it product. You gotta watch it and make sure it's working well. And when things happen, you got to either clean it or repair something to get it working back to working the way it was originally installed.
So if I'm helping a buyer and I see solar on that roof, what questions should I be asking?
When was it installed? Is it a leased system or an owned system? I think that would be the first one. Is the company who installed it still in business? Is it still under warranty? Those are some of the basic questions. You definitely want to look at how it was installed and what kind of equipment is there. But I think the big one is it leased or is it owned? And understanding if that's a system that where the installer is still around and will they help maintain it, or are you going to be looking for somebody else to maintain those systems?
Yeah. How old is too old in terms of the system?
Solar is made to work for decades, really. And we're starting to see some systems out there that are, 20 years old. And those, those are starting to get to the point where you could easily double the size of the system with the same footprint. And it might be worth it to replace that system. But it depends on the warranty, but 20 years old, you really want to check that out and see what's the value there, and it's how well are things working.
Kate specializes in helping homeowners understand the systems they already have, whether it's evaluating a system before a home purchase, diagnosing performance issues, troubleshooting problems, or making repairs. Having an experienced solar expert can provide valuable insight and peace of mind.
I check the system out from top to bottom, look at all of the equipment and how it's installed and whether or not it needs any repair. And then I provide a full report on the health of the system and what to expect in the future and how to transfer, especially that monitoring piece, working to help the buyer transfer the monitoring into their so that they can be the ones monitoring it.
One common misconception is that solar systems never require any attention after they're installed. Like any major component of a home, understanding maintenance requirements and knowing what issues can arise over time helps homeowners protect their investment. How often, if I'm going to purchase a home with solar, how often can I anticipate I'm going to need to do maintenance and I'm going to need to do repairs?
I say it's a good idea to get your system cleaned every year or two. And when you get it cleaned, a good cleaner is going to inspect the system and tell you if there's anything that needs to be done.
You mentioned warranties.
Yes.
So is part of your process is kind of reviewing what the warranty is on the system that is currently on a home? Like, do you also provide that service as well?
Well, if the manufacturer is still in business, there can be warranties that can be taken advantage of, and if something needs to be replaced and it's under warranty, I can help navigate that process. Yeah.
Awesome. How frequently do you see warranties with a solar system that's transferable from one buyer to the next?
Pretty often. The manufacturer is warranting their equipment, and they just want that equipment to work.
How important is cleaning the panels to make sure that you're getting as much sun in as you can? Because I can see hail or snow or other issues kind of dirtying up those panels, and is that something that you also support?
Yeah, that's a good question. You are going to get more energy out of a system that doesn't have dust on it, just flat out. And, rain does tend to wash off the dust. But when, when your car gets rained on, do you consider that clean?
Don't ask me what clean is. My wife will tell you we have very different opinions on what clean is. So.
Fair. I mean,
but I can tell there's a film, there's some dirt on there.
Exactly.
And does that impact how well the system works?
Absolutely it does. Absolutely it does. And so it's not something that you have to go out there every week or even month and squeegee them off. Like that's it's not worth it to do that. But, once every year or two to go out and scrub all that dust off, you're going to see that they produce a little more.
Right.
And it's worth it, not only for the extra production, but to get a company that knows what they're looking at and can give you a little rundown of, hey, this is doesn't look right. You should probably have, fix this.
And just to be clear, we're not incentivizing people to necessarily, I don't want to get sued here, that you should go back up on your roof and clean your own solar system. So
no.
That's where we give you a call, or that's where they can call their whoever did the install.
Exactly.
Colorado offers some of the best solar conditions in the country thanks to our abundant sunshine. At the same time, homeowners often have questions about hail, snow, wind, and how solar systems perform in our unique climate.
The interesting thing about solar is that it works best when it's cold. Most ideal solar day is a really cold, sunny day where there's snow on the ground and the sunlight's reflecting off the snow and it's coming down from the sky. And so I've seen production graphs where you can see that production increased because the wind was blowing, and that cooled off the panels and it made the system, produce a little more efficiently. And, when a system is covered in snow, it's not going to produce as well as it does when it's, fully exposed to the sunlight. And snow can cause issues underneath the system. If there's nothing catching the snow and wires aren't properly managed underneath the panels, well, the snow can catch those wires and pull them, and that can cause some real problems. So whether hail you mentioned, I see neighborhoods with solar panels, and you can see the broken ones from the hail. Solar can be affected by the weather, and it's important to keep an eye on it. If you got a shattered panel, get it replaced.
Yeah. Solar technology has changed dramatically over the years, but many homeowners are still making decisions based on outdated information. Understanding what's fact and what's fiction can help homeowners make more informed decisions when evaluating solar.
As an industry, we have for years bought into the idea that there are no moving parts and therefore you don't have to maintain it. And that we're finding that's simply not true. You really do need to watch it, make sure that it's working. And every once in a while, you might have to replace something. You might have to change something out and make it to make the system functional again. And often that's a pretty easy process. The other thing is that as a standard, installers should be installing some kind of animal guard around systems on a roof. When that's not there and the animals decide to nest, it is awful.
So whether you're considering solar for the first time, already have a system installed, or are preparing to buy or sell a home with solar, there are a few key things every homeowner should keep in mind.
It's good for them to understand how to monitor their system, make sure that it's working, and kind of do some comparison if you can. Most monitoring platforms are you can see back last year and the year before, how is this producing? over time, and has there been a dramatic drop? If yes, well, maybe I should get that checked out. I think it's worth having, as a seller, having an inspection proactively, and then in the listing you can say this system has been inspected and it is in good working order, and it is anticipated to produce this much energy worth this many dollars per today's electric rates. A lot of folks in your industry, a lot of realtors think of solar as a 4-letter word, and it really doesn't have to be. I want to change that for y'all, and make it an easier process, make things go more smoothly, and help you sell homes with solar on them without all of the hassle that y'all have become used to.
We've talked a lot about solar systems. I want to just pivot real quick and let's talk about you a little bit. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. We've known each other for a long time now. You've just started the new business. What's the name of your business?
Solar Service of Colorado.
Okay. And how long have you been doing this particular work right now?
I'm celebrating 6 months this month.
Nice. And just a little background story. Kate kind of came to me as someone in the industry about six or so months ago and asked me if I thought there was any feasibility to this new business. How many people have abandoned solar systems or orphan systems on their roof. And I thought this was a fantastic idea from the very start. So how's it been going so far for you?
I am embracing the hustle of getting out there and getting people to know that I exist and this service exists, and people are really excited. I remember you just kind of almost jumping out of your seat, just like, oh my gosh, that's such a great idea, and I get that a lot, and that's really exciting feedback. And I'm starting to really build up some good feedback from customers. It's slow at the beginning, but I can see that we're starting to turn a corner and starting to grow.
Why don't you just kind of lay it out there, a menu of your services and what type of value you think you can provide for people?
Yeah, so at Solar Service of Colorado, we inspect, repair, and maintain systems. So I do inspections for home buyers, for home sellers, for someone who just has a system and they don't think it's working as well as it used to. I will go out and inspect that system. If there is repair work that needs to happen, I can repair it. But if your installer is still in business, likelihood is I'm going to say, go back to your installer and see if this is under warranty. If it is, like, let them, and I'm happy to repair to fix it if you don't want to work with them anymore. But I also don't want you to have to pay more than you need to keep your system running. And then as far as maintenance goes, I can install that critter guard around the system. I can clean those panels, clean the system off, and do that check, make sure it's still working. And we're also starting to do monitoring, where we will keep an eye on your system, make sure it's working, and if something isn't, I can reach out proactively to you and say, hey, I can see that your system is no longer communicating. How about, can you just unplug your router and plug it back in? And let's see if that fixes the problem. 9 times out of 10, it will.
You just got to bang it on the side.
Exactly. And if that fixes the issue, great. And if I need to come out and do a full check, I'll come out and do a full check.
Do you provide any sort of maintenance agreement where there's regular maintenance being done on them, or do I just need to call?
We're in the process of testing out products and figuring out exactly what the market needs, and that is something that we definitely are looking into. You get a year of monitoring, and that comes with a cleaning and a check or whatever that might look like. ask me again in a few months, and I'll have a better answer.
You'll have a more extensive package.
Exactly.
So if I'm buying a home and I want to get that inspected, or if I'm selling a home and I want to get that inspected, or if I own a home, I'm not selling or buying, and I just want to get some maintenance done on my system, what's the best way to get a hold of you, other than through me?
Obviously, Matt knows how to get in touch with me. My website, solarserviceofcolorado.com, is a great way to get in touch. Yeah, give us a call and we will come out and help you out.
A special thank you to Kate Collardson for sharing her expertise and helping us better understand solar here in Colorado. If you currently own a home with solar, are considering purchasing a home with solar, or simply want to better understand how your system is performing, Kate provides solar inspections, diagnostics, troubleshooting, and repair services throughout the Front Range. I'll include her contact information so you can reach out to her directly. And if you have questions about how solar impacts your home's value, or you're considering buying or selling a home with solar, I'd be happy to help. Call or text me at 303-819-6494 or email me at mjensen@wkre.com. I'm Matthew Jensen with WK Real Estate, and I'll open the door for you.